Recap, breakdown, let's go. The card started off with Jamey-Lyn Horth versus Ivana Petrovic. It went exactly like I predicted. I had the underdog Ivana Petrovic to win the fight. I thought the grappling would be a little bit too much for Jamey-Lyn Horth. I thought Jamey-Lyn Horth wasn't the best fighter. I thought she was well-rounded. But overall, in terms of her skill set, I didn't think she was anything special. Didn't think she brought too much to the table in terms of grappling. And that's exactly what happened. After the first two rounds, I thought Ivana had clearly won the fight. But for some reason, a lot of people thought that Jamey-Lyn Horth won the second round. I don't get why. What's the rationale behind it? Petrovic controlled her for the first part of the second round. Took her down. She clearly won the first round, by the way. Let's not even get into that. The second round, she took her down, controlled her. And then after controlling her for a bit, Petrovic just goes to the ref, lets go of her control and just goes, ah. And then everyone thinks, oh my god, she just like popped her shoulder or something. They get back on the feet, and then Petrovic is doing alright, to be honest. If anything, you could even make the argument that Petrovic won the round on the feet. Then the third round, Jamey-Lyn Horth takes over, wins the third for sure. By then, the first two rounds for sure had gone to Petrovic by then. I don't get why this was a robbery. They gave the fight to Jamey-Lyn Horth, I don't get why. And they started the card off with a split decision for the Canadian, and immediately I thought to myself, oh my god, they're just going to rob the fights for every single Canadian on the card. Thankfully, I don't think that's what ended up happening. But let's continue. We started off with a robbery. Petrovic won that fight. And it's really frustrating that Jamey-Lyn Horth wins because she isn't attractive to look at. I think the UFC is just trying to cram lesbians into the women's divisions, in my opinion. Anyway, the pick was Ivana Petrovic. She won. Nice. Cody, Gibson versus Chad Anheliger. Now, for this fight, there was no choice but to give the fight to Cody Gibson. Like, there was nothing that Chad Anheliger had for him. He's all 37. I thought Cody Gibson was going to piece him up on the feet, keeps his range. But no, he actually just offensively grappled him, took him down, controlled him, and beat him up. There was some good scrambles from Chad Anheliger here and there, but overall, every single round went the same way. Cody Gibson shot a takedown, got Chad Anheliger to the ground. Chad did end up actually rolling around a bit. Get into some good scrambles, but overall, Cody Gibson just controlled him. This second round was actually a 10-8 in my opinion. Did some massive damage to him, controlled him the whole way through. If Khamzat versus Usman is a 10-8 round, that was by far a 10-8 round. I mean, the entire round almost was basically all Cody Gibson, and he was doing a lot of damage as well. They did end up going to a decision, however. Chad Anheliger showed some life in the third round, like he kept the fight on the feet for a little bit. Traded with Cody Gibson, but eventually the same thing happened over and over again, and then Cody Gibson ended up winning the fight. I thought 30-26. I think some of the judges had that. Some had it 30-27. But basically, you couldn't give a round to Chad Anheliger. But speaking of not being able to give a round to anyone, Serhiy Sidey versus Garrett Armfield. I thought there was a better argument that Armfield won 3 rounds than Serhiy Sidey won 2. In my opinion. I thought for the most part, Garrett Armfield was landing the cleaner strikes, was looking better on the feet. I thought the rounds that each of them won were actually swapped to the general consensus. I thought Sidey won the first round, then Armfield won the second and the third round. But I think a lot of people had it the other way. They had Armfield winning the first, then Sidey winning the second. Either way, it was a good fight. It wasn't the worst robbery ever, but it was a robbery. Like, clearly a robbery. Armfield ended up doing some good damage onto Sidey overall. I thought he landed the cleaner strikes, landed the more powerful strike in my opinion. Sidey was longer, landed some strikes here and there, but yeah, I thought Armfield potentially could have won it 3-0, but apparently they didn't see it that way. I thought Armfield even took him down, even on the grappling side of things. Armfield took down Serhiy Sidey in the third round at least, I believe. In the third, and then he controlled him, did some damage off the ground. Sidey was working to get up, but I thought Armfield clearly won. And something's just come out. When the fighter himself, after a fight, looks so disheveled, looks at the camera, just goes, you know you've done fucked up. Like, and after the fight, apparently Serhiy Sidey went backstage and said that he didn't deserve to win the fight and the judges got it all wrong. If there isn't a better time to have a fight result be turned over, I don't know what is. If this isn't it, I don't know what is. Because those judges were just fucking with people. I think it's just because Sidey was from Canada, I feel like, and they just wanted the Canadians to win. So they were almost rigging the fights. Not the last one, that was too unrobbable, but just straight up rigging the fights. I thought Sidey did enough to lose, on honesty. Yeah, and I picked Sidey to win as well, as you can see right here. I thought he was going to win. I was wrong. He lost the fight clearly, in my opinion. And he seems to think so as well. And the fact that he's come out and said this says everything. Because he knows he's already lost his first fight in the UFC. A 2-fight loss streak could mean he's out of the UFC. So the fact that he's going out of his way to say, yeah, you messed up. Just says a lot. And I thought Armfield was landing some good jabs, some good 1-2s. Sidey wasn't really connecting with much early on. Was landing here and there, but clearly getting out damaged, I thought. Oh well. Canada, robbery. They have nothing else going for him. Oh god. Alexander Romanov versus Rodrigo Nascimento. A crazy high-paced fight from heavyweights. Really showing the skill level that the heavyweight division possesses. Some power, some technique. You know, no one really swangs and bangs like the heavyweights, as they say. No, but in all seriousness, Romanov was swanging and banging on Nascimento's bum. In all honesty, he had him against the cage, was dropping some brutal knees to the thigh and the bum area of Nascimento over and over and over again. I'm sure Nascimento is not going to have the best time doing a number 2 in the toilet anymore, but overall, boring fight, nothing happened. Romanov won every single round. Surprising fact about the heavyweight division here, right? The first and the second round, Romanov used his grappling, used his wrestling. Didn't really dominate Nascimento, but pushed him against the cage, got him to the ground, hold him against the cage, kneed his thigh, kneed his bum. Even the ref in the second round was like, guys, he just broke it up off the cage. But interestingly enough, right, in the third round, Nascimento and Romanov had a majority on the feet fight. At one point, Romanov got kicked in the nuts, which was a huge relief for him because that gave him all the time in the world to just like catch his breath, you know, regain composure and go back into the fight. I did have Romanov winning, but the impressive thing is in the third round, Nascimento and Romanov had a majority on the feet exchange. Like, it was a striking battle. They went back and forth on the striking, traded some lefts and rights. You know how it goes. It wasn't the most skillful thing. It looked like two fish flailing out of water, and their fat was jiggling all over the place. But it was actually, you know, I thought Nascimento would win it on the feet, but turns out Nascimento's really bad at fighting. Like, somehow Romanov was out cardioing him. Romanov was gassed out of his mind, by the way. Nascimento, if he just threw 2 to 3 punch combinations, was probably gonna exhaust Romanov to the point where he might get finished in the third round. But no, Nascimento, knowing that he can't win the fight on the decision, decided to do nothing. All he did was throw 1s and 2s, throw 1-punch combinations, at most 2, and Romanov just kind of threw back, cruised through, and then won it on the feet. Insane. It kind of just shows that the level that Lewis is at right now, because that was a competitive fight on the feet, and Lewis barely won, I feel like, but just shows some of the aging talents' levels right now. But hey, I had money on Romanov. I thought he'd grapple him more. I didn't think he was going to win on the feet. But yeah, I guess he won. Youssef Zalal versus Jack Shaw. This was quite sad to see, actually. Jack Shaw was doing alright in the first round. Was landing some crisp lefts and rights on the feet. Some good combinations on the feet. I thought he was getting the better of Zalal on the feet. And I thought the grappling of Jack Shaw was looking real good in the first round. At the start of the round, at least. Later on, Zalal caught up with him and just tried to, you know, was a little bit too fast and too, you know, like after he got the read on Jack Shaw, he was landing more on Jack Shaw than Jack Shaw was landing on him. He even threatened some grappling, and I thought he was starting to get the better of Jack Shaw in terms of the grappling as well. Jack Shaw is not a big featherweight. He was bantamweight at one point. He's moved to featherweight. He's lost 2 fights back to back against Pedro and Youssef Zalal. But unfortunately for Jack Shaw, Zalal and Pedro seem to be one of the better unranked prospects. Not even prospects, like just fighters. Neither of them are really that much of a young gun anymore. But yeah, Zalal looked good. And then in the second round, Zalal catches Jack Shaw ducking down with a knee up the middle. Finishes him off. He follows him to the ground and submits him, unfortunately. Which sucks to see, because Jack Shaw is a grappler. He's a submission dude. And for his reputation, at least, this is quite painful. And reputation is everything in the WWE. In the UFC, it's everything. Because when you have that aura to you, like, okay, if you could, like, here's the thing, right? Jacare Souza. He was untappable. He was a jiu-jitsu master. Like, even when he started losing fight and became washed, became over the hill, everyone was thinking to themselves, yeah, but he's still a grappling god. Once Andre Muniz submitted him, that was it. The aura was gone. It's like, okay, what is he bringing to the table now that he's losing fights and he's been submitted? And then he was cut right afterwards from the UFC. I'm scared for Jack Shaw. He might get cut as well, because, like, his grappling, I thought, like, now that he's been submitted, that aura of, like, him actually having the grappling edge on his opponents, it's gone. And I was wrong. I thought Jack Shaw was a great underdog to pick. I was completely wrong. Youssef Zalal schools Jack Shaw and just finishes him off. Victor Henry versus Charles Jourdain. Victor Henry is 37 years old. I should have known better that this Nick Wright wannabe lookalike was going to beat Victor Henry. Here's the thing though, I thought Victor Henry was going to bring the fight to him, push forward, but he looked hesitant. He looked super hesitant. Charles Jourdain at points was literally just thinking on the feet, like, not even throwing anything, just like, okay, what should I do next? Like, he had that buffer time. Then he threw a flying knee, just spinning attack. I thought Victor Henry was going to bring the fight to him, pressure him, crack his chin potentially. None of that happened whatsoever. Charles Jourdain clearly won the first round, I thought. In the second round, Victor Henry finally had some hope, showed some life in him, went for the grappling, took down Charles Jourdain, took him down, controlled him for a bit, and I was thinking, beautiful, okay? So now he can win the second round, and the third round, if he can get the same thing happening, we've got it. Turns out, no. Charles Jourdain was threatening some guillotine chokes, not getting any of them, by the way. And here's the sign that you are an older fighter whose reflexes and timing and all that stuff have just gone completely down the drain. When you get to the stage in your career where guillotine chokes is a viable way of beating you, it's probably, your reflexes probably aren't the fastest. Like, you couldn't, like, it's rare that we see a guillotine choke that we just think, wow, what skill, what, you know, like, especially when it's not after knockdown. Like, someone knocks you down, then they lock in the guillotine choke. Fair play, you didn't see it coming, you were disorientated. But Victor Henry, man, like, I swear to God, on the feet, Charles Jourdain had him in the guillotine lock. Victor Henry was just, like, kind of, like, defending it by going limp or whatever. Charles Jourdain just goes at him, okay, so you're not going to move out of the, you're not going to move at all. Readjusts it, gets it, Victor Henry pulls him down to the ground, Victor Henry taps out. Old man. He beat Rani Yahya, keep in mind, who's a much better jiu-jitsu guy than Charles Jourdain. But I'm guessing Charles Jourdain's striking did stifle Victor Henry, wanted nothing to do with it. Rani Yahya shit on the feet, so I get it, but I just thought Victor Henry could do a bit more. And I thought Charles Jourdain looked quite good. There's some fun fights in the bantamweight division for him, I'm sure. None that pop into my head as of now, though. But I'm sure something will come up. Is, what's his name? Julian Paiva still in the division? Have him fight him. Why not? Anyway, I was wrong. Lost $125 on this. Hey, I still won money overall in the night, but that was a hit. Aiemann Zahabi versus Pedro Munhoz. Now, hear me out. I thought Aiemann Zahabi won rounds 2 and 3. I thought round 1 was kind of unfairly given to Zahabi, just like for whatever reason. Or was it round 2? I can't remember anymore. I thought Pedro Munhoz looked alright on the feet. He looked like the same old Pedro Munhoz, but his game has been figured out. He's 38 years old, and even though I'm saying same old, probably not. Probably didn't have the same pop to his shots that he used to. It looked like he did, but like obviously as you age, here's the thing, power comes from speed. The quicker you strike someone, the more power you're able to generate, right? Like if you pop someone unexpectedly with a lot of speed, that translates into power. If you're slower with your punches, like just punch something and then try to go as fast as you can or slower. It's just, that's probably what it was. Pedro Munhoz got busted up badly, by the way. Like I'm sure his face is taking a lot of damage. Today was pretty bad. He was leaking a lot. Aiemann Zahabi kept it on the feet for the most part. The entire fight was majority on the feet. Pedro Munhoz didn't mix in the takedowns, didn't mix in the grappling at all. Unexpected. He had the reach disadvantage. I thought he could beat Zahabi. Zahabi's 36 years old, keep in mind. Like, he's an older fighter. Pedro Munhoz is also an old fighter, but only by 2 years. But also, I feel like 38 and 36 are quite far apart. Like, you can say what you want to say. Here's the thing. The gap between 36 to 38 might be closer than the gap between, let's say, 25 to 32. It is. But the athletic difference, like if you watch any other team sports like basketball, for example, when you're 38, you are washed. You are a role player. At 36, you can still be a starting caliber player. And the difference between a starter on a championship team and a role player on a just a normal team is just a huge gap in difference. And that's just what we saw here. Zahabi just looked better than Pedro Munhoz. Pedro Munhoz on a big slide. So far, he'd only be losing to the best guys in the division. Now he loses to a guy that isn't really on anyone's radar. And I feel like this card might have been the gateway for some of these fighters to retire. And I feel like Aiemann Zahabi might be centering Pedro. I mean, he probably is. I think Pedro Munhoz is a good company guy. I think they'll probably keep him around for one more fight, potentially. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him. But I don't think they should. Because like Pedro Munhoz has been around for a while. He's done a lot for the company. He had some good fights. Not the most exciting fights ever, but, you know, give him to... He's a name that people recognize. Give him to an up-and-comer. If he wins, gets to continue with his career. If he loses, PFL. You know? The Professional Fighters League is what's next for him. In all honesty, on the main card of the next Ngannou fight, potentially. Yeah, anyway, Zahabi looked good. Crisp jab, crisp 1-2s. Was really badly munging up the face of Pedro Munhoz. Like, his face was getting mushy. Ah, it bit my tongue. His face was getting mushied up bad. You know, like, just scrunching up here and there. Like, some of those not blows. Like, Pedro Munhoz's chin is something that's always going to be with him. But some of those blows, I'm like, okay, it might be better for him to get KO'd. Because every time he loses a fight, it's not by KO. It's always by decision. And he always ends up absorbing the maximum amount of strikes that he could possibly absorb in a fight. Same thing happened there. Feels bad for Munhoz. I thought he could get it done. I didn't think Zahabi was at that level. But, you know, 38 years old. Mike Malott versus Trevin Giles. I was a bit distracted because my stream cut off. The power to my house went off. So my stream shut off. So I couldn't stream the whole card. So I'm sorry. I'll be back for John Jones versus Stipe. For all 2 of you that were watching. Thank you. Anyway, Mike Malott looked good, I thought, in the first round. I thought Trevin Giles won. Okay, from what I saw halfway through the round, my stream cut off, but I was trying to like catch up a little bit here and there. Trevin Giles looked alright. He looked at some decent jabs here and there. Looked okay, in all honesty. Didn't really mix in the grappling too much in the first round, I don't believe. Again, I didn't watch the whole round. Second round comes around. I was unsure, but by then my friend had already got onto the Discord, so he was telling me about the first round. He thought Trevin Giles won. The second round, Mike Malott was doing pretty well, landing some good crisp striking here and there, mixing it in pretty well. Overall, Mike Malott just looked better than Trevin Giles in the second round. Then third round, a close round in all honesty, but I thought Mike Malott just did enough to edge him out. Like, there wasn't any like moment in the fight where I thought, ooh, like the fight might end. No, for the most part, just a very technical fight on the feet. Good showing from Mike Malott, I would say, but it's Trevin Giles. It's nothing crazy. It's not like it's Neil Magny, you know, like the Super Saiyan god that he is. But nah, Mike Malott looked alright. I don't know if a ranked opponent is in his future right now, though. I think he needs to get one more unranked fight before getting back into talks for potential. You know what? If Vicente Luque has not looked the best recently, I can see a fight between Vicente Luque and Mike Malott. If Mike Malott can beat one more person that's unranked potentially, like maybe early next year, I can see that being a fight to get him back into like contention, because Canada badly needs some stars. As it was evident by today's card, the last 3 fights weren't Canadians. Just shows the level that Canada's at right now. But yeah, Mike Malott won fair and square. I had money on it. I didn't have any money on it. Never mind. Mike Malott won. I picked him. Good job, Mike Malott. Next up, Marc-Andre Barriault versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Marc-Andre Barriault might be the shittest fighter that has ever fought. I am not joking to you. I put on $125 on this last minute thinking, well, okay, obviously Marc-Andre is going to win. Like, I mean, it's Dustin Stoltzfus. He's been chinned by everyone that can strike. And Marc-Andre Barriault actually went tit for tat with Chris Curtis. So I was like thinking, okay, he went tit for tat with Chris Curtis. So this happened. He's been very good on the feet. He got a win over this guy. He only lost to Joe Pyfer. He's one of the best guys in the division in terms of on the feet. Joe Pyfer beat him, but Joe Pyfer's way better than Dustin Stoltzfus. Obviously, Joe Pyfer would chin the shit out of Dustin Stoltzfus. Nope, something happened. I don't know what it was. Dustin Stoltzfus just trips over Marc-Andre Barriault at the start of the round. Goes for an RKO kind of choke. I'm not even joking. It was like a reverse RKO. He was like, it was so weird. It wasn't a choke that could get a finish whatsoever. I was scared though. I'm like thinking, okay, what's happening? Then Marc-Andre Barriault gets back to his feet. I'm like thinking, thank God. Now we can, you know, like back down to reality. We should go now. Marc-Andre Barriault starts swinging at Dustin Stoltzfus like an idiot. 2-chromosomed idiot. Against the cage, just going bang, bang, bang. Chin up. No guard whatsoever. They're both swinging wild at each other. Dustin Stoltzfus eventually finds the chin of Barriault. Cracks him, drops him, follows up, and it's over. And I was thinking, what the hell? Canadian fighters just hate winning in Canada, unless it's by robbery, it turns out. I don't know how that... I really thought Marc-Andre Barriault was much better than that. I thought he could potentially be like a gatekeeper to the top 15, or maybe even like a top 20. But turns out, no, apparently he's shit, because Dustin Stoltzfus can chin him. I get it. Like, maybe he just got a bit angsty. He's like thinking to himself, oh no, I've just lost the round. If I don't get some big damage off right now, the first round's out of hand. Oops. Turns out, nope, the entire fight's out of hand because he just got knocked out. Screw Marc-Andre Barriault. I thought this was going to be an easy win for him. Maybe not easy. Turn down 28, but comfortably. Turns out not. Ariana Lipski versus Jasmine Jasuvadavichuashu. That is her name. Jasmine. Jasmine, in the first round, was looking slow, looking lethargic, looking like she was overweight, in all honesty. Ariana Lipski, in the first round, was throwing strikes well, moving around on her feet, throwing strikes like to the head, to the body, throwing jabs to the body, to the head, throwing some good kicks as well even. And Jasmine was just slowly plodding forward, throwing 1, 2, 1, 2. And I was thinking to myself, what are you doing here? You're a professional fighter. You know the round is getting out of hand. Do something. Then towards the end of the round, she gets the takedown. Does some decent damage on the ground. I say decent damage. It wasn't like a fight-ending level of damage, but it was something happening there. That was a round that you could potentially give to Jasmine after the ending, but I thought Ariana Lipski still won the first round. But knowing the judges, I bet you all three of them had it for Jasmine because it was a close round and she's Canadian. I did pick Jasmine. I had money on her, so I'm not complaining. The second and third round, complete domination from Jasmine. Jasmine takes down Ariana Lipski, controls her for the entire round, is beating her up, honestly, doing more damage than Khamzat did to Usman. If that's a 10-8 round, this is a 10-8 round. That's the bar from now on. That's the standard of a 10-8 round. A little damage and all control. Jasmine actually did some decent damage and used all control, so in terms of 10-8 rounds, this is like a pecking order above what Khamzat did to Usman. Anyway, clearly was the second. In the third round, is doing the same thing to Ariana Lipski, but eventually, in the third round, she ends up finding, I believe, a Das choke. I was literally mid-eating food. I was like, monging down food, and I look over and I'm thinking, oh shit, what's happening? Is there a submission locked in? Ariana Lipski's tapping out all of a sudden. Beautiful stuff. Gets it in the third. Looks good. The first round, maybe she's one of those slow starters, but she was 35. She is 35 years old. Like, I can see why she's a slow starter. Good wrestler. I don't think she'll get to the top. She's 35. You gotta take that into factor. Her next fight will be coming in like 4 to 6 months' time. 2 fights from now, a year's past. 36 years old. If she wins both of them, maybe she's looking to get into the top 5. And then maybe title eliminator. So realistically, you know what? It's not impossible that she gets a title shot within the next 2 years. But she's not a big name. They'll probably make sure she doesn't get there. You know how the UFC is dirty with it. It feels like we never get to see the best fighters fight the best fighters anymore. Feels like the fighters that are winning a lot are fighting other fighters that are winning a lot, while the top of the division is made up of fighters that have name value and are on 1-fight win streaks. It feels like, you know, if like you're on a 10-fight win streak, you should get the title shot, even if it's not the highest competition anymore. I've changed my mentality on this. You should get the title shot because you can't control who you're fighting. The UFC chooses for you. It feels like, but yeah. That's the UFC for you. Just a little rant I just wanted to get out there. Because I remember back in the day, we used to get way more, like, you know, like someone's on a run, they find someone else that's like high up. Now it's like, you're on a run, cancel each other out. Instead of fighting someone at the top. It's rarer now. It's not impossible, but it's a lot rarer nowadays. It feels like, than it used to be. But hey, who cares? Chaya Machado versus Benson Ribeiro. Hear me out now. It wasn't a robbery. I had Ribeiro, I had money on him. The first 2 rounds is where this fight falls. Extremely close rounds. Chaya Machado in the live striking was out-voluming Ribeiro. But honestly, the first round was so boring. Like, literally, they were just throwing single jabs, single punches, Machado on the back foot the whole time, Ribeiro pushing forward. I think Machado had the more strikes landed in the first. I don't know. I was watching fairly like as closely as you can while being bored out of your mind. I was watching fairly closely. I didn't feel like there was a massive strike difference between the two. Nothing was landing too clean. I thought Ribeiro pushing the pressure on him, pushing forward. I thought the forward momentum of his punches had a bit more pop to him than Machado had, countering Ribeiro. So I thought he won the first. The second round was really close. Can go either way. Very much the same thing. Like, not a high volume fight. A lot of striking. You know, just here and there, pitter patter shots. Nothing concussive worthy, I would say. I thought Ribeiro won the second round though. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but there were just a lot of just like single punch combinations, and I thought Ribeiro's single punches did more damage than Machado's single punches. And Machado looked in good shape, by the way. I just want to make this out. He was a light heavyweight that made. It was a heavyweight that made the light heavyweight limit. Looked good. Looked in good shape. Anyway, third round, Machado clearly won. Ribeiro was winning at the start. Like, he rocked him at one point. Literally rocked Machado in the third round. He fumbles backwards. But then Machado does something and Ribeiro trips up, falls over, gets back up. I'm like thinking, okay, hopefully the judges don't think that's a point for Machado's favor because Ribeiro just literally tripped. But then after that, Machado decided doing some big damage. Some spinning attacks here and there. And at the end of the day, when you're throwing one punch combinations like Ribeiro was, or 1-2 punches, 1-2-3, actually, they actually got into a fairly decent exchange a few times. What am I saying? They actually traded in the pocket for like a couple of seconds at a time. Wasn't too bad, but then Machado later on, you know, threw some spinning attacks, threw some back fists, some kicks here and there. Overall took the third round. I thought it was 2-1. If you gave it to Machado, completely fair. I won't complain with you at all, but I was expecting more fun. I had money on Ribeiro though, so follow my betting tips. Watch these videos. Why do these videos not get any views? Continue to watch. Rose Namajunas versus Erin Blanchfield. I was so scared. I had money on Erin Blanchfield to start off with. I was so scared. I was thinking, oh shit. Like, Rose Namajunas wins the first 2 rounds comfortably. I was thinking, here come the Rose fans. Like, Rose is so technical. She's so skilled. She's so fun to watch almost. And I'm thinking, that's not true at all anymore. Like, the old Rose was. But since she got up to flyweight and she get a bit of a belly on her. Not really. You can't really tell. But she's still fast. She's like an anomaly in the division. She's way more crisp than anyone else. Her in and out movement is better than any fighter in the division. That includes Valentina Shevchenko in my opinion. But it's just, everyone just goes on about how good Rose is this, how good Rose is that. And because there's so much like engagement, I'm guessing, on social media because of the Rose Namajunas, she ends up finding herself in the main event of fight nights and just ruining these cards. Her versus Tracy Cortez is one of the disgraces of the year. It's one of the worst fights, mostly on Tracy Cortez's end. But also, Namajunas did nothing. Like, she dropped Tracy Cortez at one point, but never looking for a finish, always looking to point fight, even when someone's hurt. She's never anymore looking for those clean KO strikes anymore, it feels like. She's just there jabbing in and out, and her coaches in the corner, you can hear them yelling. They're thinking, okay, Rose, go in and out, yeah, like 3-1-5, you know, 1-2-3, 1-3-5. When she comes in, you counter, and when you counter, you move out, and you move you back in, you move your head, make sure to move your head when she's coming in, move away from the center line, throw a kick to the body, counter with a jab, after a jab, pull backwards, then push her with the right hand. You're just hearing her coaches give her these advice, and she's listening to them, and they're just really, really boring, unentertaining fights. And this was probably the best Rose fight in the division. Maybe it's because she lost, but honestly, Erin Blanchfield bought the fight to her. In the first round, she lost clearly. Like, she couldn't take Rose down. Rose actually did a judo toss on her, embarrasses her. She gets back on her feet immediately though. But Rose is just like, her elusive movement, moving away from the center line, was catching Erin Blanchfield here and there. And she looked really good, Rose, in the first round. Second round, same thing happens. Like, Erin Blanchfield cannot get Rose down whatsoever. Can't get her hands around her. She's too elusive. And then she wins the second round. After the second round, I'm like really worried. I'm like, okay, it's very unlikely Erin Blanchfield wins convincingly all 3 rounds. But somehow she gets down Rose Namajunas in the third, controls her the entire way. Doesn't do the most crazy amount of damage that happens later on, but controls her. Like, you can't give the third round to Rose Namajunas. Like, the first 2 rounds are clearly Rose. The third round is clearly Blanchfield. She clearly won that round. And it wasn't the most fun round, but it was real. Like, it was, here's the thing, right? When something happens, like, if you're rooting for someone and they're down 2-0, you just want them to win. Like, you're just thinking, do whatever it takes. And she was doing enough on the ground that I was having fun watching. And I was like, okay, 2 more rounds. I don't know what's going to happen. The 4th round comes around, and it's on the feet. Most fighters in later rounds will not be pushing the pressure on Rose Namajunas because she's so elusive, so good. They're scared to get knocked out by her, maybe. I don't know why you would be. Erin Blanchfield wasn't. She just pushed forward, exchanged with Rose as much as she possibly could. I think by now Rose Namajunas was thinking, okay, if I get taken down again, I know that she can keep me down. So now they're trading. Rose is being a little bit conservative. Erin Blanchfield threatens to take down here and there. Doesn't get it, but that's fine. On the feet, she out-volumes Rose massively. Like, Rose is in and out, but like she was moving in and out a little bit. But Erin Blanchfield just kept pushing the pressure forward, kept pushing forward. And overall, just got the better of Rose. Like, she out-volumed her. The striking of Rose was more crisp, don't get me wrong. If this was purely judged by who landed the better high-end strikes, it would probably go to Rose. But overall, damage-wise, Erin Blanchfield out-volumed her, and overall, I did think she did enough to win the 4th round. A lot of people were saying it's close. I thought Erin Blanchfield would win. I agree it was close, but I thought it would be one of those close rounds where it goes two judges go Erin Blanchfield and one goes Jamey-Lyn. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was a close round that Erin Blanchfield won, as opposed to an... You know what I'm trying to say here? Like, sometimes you have a close round, you're going, I don't know who won that round. This round was one of those rounds you're like, okay, Blanchfield won, but one judge will have it for Rose. Fourth round comes around, takes out Rose Namajunas, and then is dropping some really significant strikes on her, like doing some good damage onto her, hurting her, blooding her, like, not, I don't know if she bloodied her, but she bruised her a little bit, and just controlled her, dominated her. You could have argued a 10-8 if Khamzat Usman is the standard, keep in mind. Over 3 minutes of control time with good damage. And Blanchfield won the fight. I don't know if anyone's saying robbery. I don't think anyone is. All three just had 48-47. Perfect. The perfect scorecards across the board. Exactly how the fight should be scored. And I had money and I won money, so I'm very happy. Main event time. I told you. I told you Brandon Moreno would expose Amir Albazi. Amir Albazi is not top 5 level. He fought no ranked opponents before he fought Kai Kara France, and he robbed Kai Kara France. Brandon Moreno made Kai Kara France... You know what? They had a good back and forth until Moreno found the liver shot, shut off Kai Kara France, and beat him. Brandon Moreno gets it done. Wins arguably all 5 rounds. I think there's a good argument that round 4 goes to Albazi. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I would maybe even... it was close, okay? It was close. I don't know who I'd go that way. But let's say it's 4-1. Even at 4-1, he completely... I called it. He exposes Amir Albazi. Amir Albazi was landing single-digit significant strikes. Brandon Moreno was elusive. I called it. Going in and out. Finding the shots. Doing huge damage. Was actually putting the volume on Albazi. And I said this before. Albazi is not a volume striker. Brandon Moreno is having a lot of problems with pressure fighters like Roybal who keep going forward. Volume. Pantoja. Forward. Pressure. When Moreno fought Davison Figueiredo, who was a bit more conservative, he got the better of Davison. Went to a close fight with him and then later on in other fights beat him. Albazi, on the other hand, we have here, was very hesitant, wasn't doing much. Moreno was landing a lot of shots, a lot of body shots. Albazi was firing some of his own body shots. Went for a takedown, got the takedown on Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno immediately popped back onto his feet. Albazi immediately knew that was not going to be an avenue for him to go, and Moreno wasn't scared. He wasn't one of those fighters that just goes, oh no, he could take me down, let me just, lower my hands. No, he kept his hands up, he kept them up, had a low stance where he leans forward. Again, perfect for stuffing takedowns, perfect for sprawling. And eventually got the better of Albazi, completely exposed him, won all 5 rounds, arguably 4-1. At best, Albazi won 1 round. At best. You couldn't make an argument for the other 4 rounds. He did more damage, cracked him, and he bloodied up Albazi's eye, his nose. There's a lot of blood on Albazi's face, right? He was brutalized. And his corner was telling him he needs a finish in the 5th round. He didn't do much there. Amazing performance. Brandon Moreno looked really good, but again, you guys might be looking at his ranking, like Amir Albazi's ranking, thinking, okay, he beat the number 3 guy in the world, he looks so good. Albazi is not the number 3 guy in the world. He only has that ranking because he robbed Kai Kara France. He robbed him. That is a fight I arguably had 4-1 to Kai Kara, 3-2 at worst. At worst at 3-2 for France. But no, Moreno does it in, man. And I made a video on this. I'm so happy. I hope someone watches that video and decides to leave a subscribe and a like on that video, because that video is dying. Anyway, I'm so happy for Brandon Moreno. Afterwards, he did a really personality-driven interview, and he did the face a lot. Said he's back in the division. These people don't know. The division might have forgotten. The same thing that a former champion says every time they get a win after going on like a somewhat of a slow slide. Like if Usman wins, you can expect him to say, "Y'all must have forgot, my brothers. I'm a high, I'm the former champion. I'm this dude. I'm that dude. I'm the best." Moreno did that, and I can't even remember exactly what strikes he was landing anymore. It was kind of high paced, but it was a one-way traffic. Albazi was throwing some jabs here and there, but he was missing a lot. Moreno was going to the body, going to the head, a lot to the head. His 1-2 combination. Moreno was actually his volumes was increased for this fight. And I told you guys, like, Amir Albazi does not have this crazy knockout power. He has some power, but he's good at a lot of things. He was not a Dagestani that grew up in Dagestan crotch sniffing bears. He moved to England, he left his home country at a young age, and then started wrestling in England. His wrestling is not that of a bear hugger. He's got the wrestling of a normal human being that trains wrestling 3 or 4 times a week. You know? I'm so happy for Moreno. And I feel like he needs to fight again. He can't get a title shot, let's be honest here. If by any chance Kai Asakura beats Pantoja, it's Royval. Royval beat him. Royval just beat Tatsuro Taira. Speaking of Tatsuro Taira, I think Tatsuro Taira is a good name. I think he's a really dangerous grappler. There isn't really anyone deserving to fight Brandon Moreno right now. Like, Nelcap is losing. Steve Erceg losing. Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. I know he's coming off a loss, but that's 2 people that are coming off losses to Brandon Royval. It makes perfect sense. Moreno's coming off a win. Tatsuro Taira coming off a loss, but they both have losses to Royval. Fight each other, and the winner of that can arguably justify a rematch with Royval if he becomes a champion, or maybe even get into title contention. The next fight to make. Fight on main event, I'm fine with it. It's a great fight. The flyweights show up, and Moreno, this was a fun fight. Like, I know it was one-way traffic, but a fun one-way traffic. Like, I was so happy for Moreno, and I felt bad for Albazi. He trained his whole life, I understand, but you robbed my boy Kairahara. Can't like you too much, buddy. Anyway, that was the entire card. This is what I made on the entire card. The profit was $259. Overall, I've only started since UFC France, keep in mind, guys. Over $1,000 already. Only one card I didn't make profit on. Really shows you how easy UFC betting is if you don't literally just put stupid money on Marc-Andre Barriault. But that's it. Like, share, and subscribe. But don't share. That's stupid. No one shares. I'm on 93 subscribers. Let's get me to 100, guys. The big 100. The big 100. Get me there. I'll see you guys next time. And that's what just happened. From now on, I'll say that. Bye.